Any nickname that is just like thing, name, like Shitty Jeff, it's the best.
Fuck you, Steve.
Ash and Zach are super smart. They went to college and did a bunch of stuff. Bo and Andrew didn't go to college because that's the way death goes sometimes. What happens when you put them together and you try to make them learn? Well, grab your ghouls. Let's listen together on Get Spooked On, a creepy dump podcast.
Welcome to Get Dumped On, the Info Dump Podcast, the podcast where usually 4 friends get together and dump their special interest knowledge on the other 3, but today we only have 3 friends because Bo could not make it. Sorry for all those Bo heads out there.
But Andrew heads will be stoked.
Yeah, I understand if you want to shut it off now if you're a Bo head, but Andrew heads, he's back, baby. He's back.
It's been a long time, it feels like.
It has been 3 whole episodes. 3? I think it's 3 that I missed.
3 episodes. Where you been, Betty? What's wrong with you?
I've been gone and I've been busy, but I am back. Much to the chagrin of all those Andrew haters out there, all one of them. His name is Bo.
Well, he's not even here, so he doesn't even count.
Yeah, that's why he didn't show up. It's because he heard I was coming back.
Oh,
Either way,
yeah.
Welcome to Get Dumped On. It's good to be back. I do have some notes from the previous episodes since I was not here, but I still edited them. The first one was with Justin when he said he lost 10 minutes of audio, but then he lost 30 minutes of audio. That's just my note. I just wanted to point that out. However, he gets a pass because that was 1, his first time, and 2, he's very handsome. So he's good there.
Yeah, it's okay, Justin.
You're all good. And then the second episode, the Bo Jobs. I mean, what was that?
Great.
It was Bo Jobs.
It was insane to listen to while I was editing. That was literally the craziest thing ever. Of all the episodes we had, that is definitely one of the episodes that we had.
I think it's great. I loved learning about all of Bo's different jobs and the wild path that life has taken him through. And then after he was like, I forgot a bunch of jobs that I had. And I was like, what are we even doing?
Yeah, apparently he worked he was an Amazon delivery driver too.
Oh, that would have been so great to talk about.
Classic Bo maneuver, forgetting everything always. Good job, Bo. We love you. And then in the third episode, the only note that I have is that Lane absolutely smashed it, and I would love to have Lane back because
we love you, Lane.
Is fantastic, and yeah, we love you.
We love Lane so much.
Yeah,
Lane is truly one of the best individuals ever to exist.
Yeah, she absolutely slayed it, and she's got a great podcasting voice. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, hello. It was fantastic. So. That's all my notes, though. You guys, I gave you the keys to the house, and there was a couple of crazy parties. But
Bo was gonna throw a party.
The ship isn't ship shape, and it hasn't sank all the way.
We accidentally set some stuff on fire, but we figured it out. We didn't have to call 911. It was okay.
It's fine. Yeah. Anyway, I'm back. I'm Andrew. I am one of your hosts. The other host, their name is Ash.
That's me.
That's Ash. And the person who's going to be co-hosting, I guess they're both going to be hosting, but currently I guess they're going to start, is Zach.
No, I'm going to start.
Hey, it's me.
Oh, never mind. Ash is going to start.
It's a pretty loosey-goosey kind of episode.
I'm loose, and I'm goose.
And you were a goose. Get ready to learn about Halloween stuff. We're just going to talk about Halloween because it's Halloween time.
This is Halloween. It is on Thursday, the day after you're listening to this, if you listen on Wednesday.
And if you're listening after, it's still going to be relevant because Halloween time's the best time, as we have discussed previously. So we didn't really do it last year. I just wanted to get into a little bit about where Halloween comes from in America, talk a little bit about the origins, some funny things that I learned about Halloween. And then I wanted to talk about, I think, Zach, you're going to talk about like most popular Halloween costumes through time.
Yeah, I want to talk about Halloween costumes.
So we'll talk a little bit first about the history of Halloween and how it got started. And then we'll talk about a little bit about how it's progressed.
What are you guys going to be for Halloween? Are you dressing up?
I don't usually dress up, to be honest.
Wow.
I like to dress up, but we don't have anywhere to go this year.
And we don't get trick-or-treaters, so like...
All dressed up and nowhere to go? Just don't get dressed up and you still have nowhere to go.
I'm a person who doesn't really like to wear costumes, but I love seeing other people in costumes.
I like to wear
Halloween-themed clothes. Like I have, like I'm here for the Spirits shirt. I've got a Mr. Kool-Aid shirt.
I have previously put a lot of effort into Halloween costumes. I have done some pretty elaborate ones that have been pretty great. But past few years, all of our friends have been remote for the most part, or at least most of our friends. And we haven't really been going to any Halloween events. So it's like, well, instead I'll just decorate the house really nicely.
Well, when you did dress up, though, what was your favorite Halloween costume that you've ever had?
My favorite one that you did was the post-apocalyptic
baseball player.
Player.
I did a post-apocalyptic. I did 2 post-apocalyptic ones in a row. Where the first one I put together. I was just like a wasteland raider.
I did really like that one too, though. That was really good.
I had like a chest plate, like chest armor that I made out of bottle caps, and a bunch of like random shit that I like salvaged from the scrap metal pile at work. You gave me a mohawk, and that was a lot of fun.
I cut Zach's hair into a mohawk with beard trimmers in our bathroom, and it turned out great.
Yeah.
It was basically straight.
I like it.
And then the second time I was a post-apocalyptic baseball player. I had
you had a helmet with spikes in it and a bloody baseball bat.
Yeah. I got an old baseball helmet, and I used blue tape to put like a stripe down the middle of it, and put a mohawk into it with like spikes. So I had like a spike mohawk instead of actually a mohawk in my hair. I had a baseball hat and a baseball bat, and then I spray painted. I spray painted the nuclear logo on the back of the jacket. No. I'm conflating the two. The first costume, I had a shield made out of a trash can lid that I spray painted a radioactive logo symbol onto. The second time, I had the baseball jersey. I spray painted stencil letters. The team was the Rad Sox. And my number was the nuclear number for uranium, I think, something like that.
You know, for people in post-apocalyptic wastelands, they really love branding things.
Yeah.
It's all about the brands. Other Zach hits are a really good zombie and the drunkest Hagrid.
Yeah, the drunkest Hagrid was fun. And then one year I was inspired by the chrysalid zombies from XCOM, and I made a bunch of gross glowing green pustules and put them all over my body, and that was a lot of fun. When I was in high school, I also did a really, really elaborate, I did a really super duper elaborate zombie costume one year, and I was really mad because I didn't win the school costume contest, because I got up at 4:00 in the morning to start doing my makeup for school that day, and then I lost to a dude in just a regular ass Freddy Krueger costume. He didn't even do his makeup. He went to
fucking Spirit Halloween and just bought it out of the bag.
Yeah, it was absolute bullshit.
If that's
but it's really funny because I did a photo shoot, but it's in my parents' fucking rumpus room, and so it's like the old computer room that we had.
Rumpus room.
I don't. It's literally the first time It's like the first time I've ever said the word rumpus room. I don't know why I said that, but so it's me in my horrifying zombie makeup, but it's in my fucking parents' computer room, which is decorated exactly the way you'd expect a waspy Connecticut family's computer room in 2007 to be decorated.
Prime for zombies.
It's very funny.
I mean, zombies can turn up anywhere.
Ash, what about you? What's your favorite Halloween costume?
Again, I don't really wear Halloween costumes, especially.
You did once, right?
I mean, I have before. Let me think. And also I'm usually helping Zach with his. So one time
he's just taking all of your resources.
That's fine with me. One time I wore a crown and I was the king.
Okay.
One time you're
just the king.
Yep. And then one time I wore a "Hi, my name is," and I wrote Dave, and so I went as Dave.
I like that. That's my kind of costume.
That's funny.
I always like to wear themed shirts. I'll wear a Halloween themed shirt, or something with skeletons on it.
The "I'm here for the booze" one with the ghost on it.
I'm here for the booze with a ghost on it. Fantastic. I'm trying to think of the last time I actually wore a costume, and I can't come up with it. It's been a very long time.
Nice.
I was a hippie once when I was in. Oh no! The best Halloween costume we ever did. I found it. I used to go trick or treating with my friend's family, and her little brother was the president, and so we were his bodyguards. So we wore suits and sunglasses, and he was probably 7, and we were maybe 13 or 14. So that was really fun.
Really good.
I love it. My favorite one. It lasted about 6 years. I bought a banana costume, and I just kept using it.
Everyone loves the banana costume.
You gotta.
It was great. And it got to the point where all of my friends were like, screw it, we're going to be bananas one year. And it was the last year the banana costume lasted because it just disintegrated after that. But we went to a party and all of us were bananas. We found a staircase. It was a huge party in this giant freaking mansion. We were standing on like the dance floor had a staircase next to it. And at some point, all the bananas, we didn't even plan this. We all just ended up on the staircase and we were just having like a banana like dance party on the staircase. And there's pictures of it somewhere. That was probably one of my favorite ones just because there's just a bunch of bananas just going bananas.
And then a gorilla shows up and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, thankfully there were no apes there. But my costume this year, my wife said that I absolutely slayed it. I'm dressing up as Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows.
Nice.
And when I came down, I spent too much money on it this year. But when I came down the stairs, tried it on, and my wife just goes, "Yes."
There you go.
Is she gonna be what's her name? Nadja?
Yeah.
Fun.
Nice.
Classic vampires. I always like that when I do wear a costume, I feel like it's always like a class like vampire, ghost, something non-branded, just nondescript, spooky.
Mm-hmm.
Which is in the spirit of original Halloween costumes.
I found the picture.
I can see why you didn't win. You just look like a homeless guy with blood on him.
Are you serious?
He painted himself gray, dude. He's a different color palette.
Yeah, he looks anemic.
He's a zombie.
Yeah, because I'm dead.
He's dead, bro. Let's get on track. We spent way too fucking long talking about this.
If you look, I learned how to use costume latex. I've got open sores and wounds and stuff.
You should have won. Yeah, you put a lot of effort into that. Good
Thank
job.
you.
That's
Andrew,
very, very Connecticut rumpus room behind you, though.
Andrew, you're a bitch.
You see now why he used the word rumpus room.
Oh my
Those
God.
plaid curtains really do it.
I hate
The butter yellow walls. Anyway, let's get back to the original why we're here. Probably should have saved this conversation for later when we're actually talking about
It's
Halloween
fine.
costumes.
We're fine. People like Halloween.
Do you know where Halloween traditions come from?
Pagans?
Pagans. Well, Celts.
They all come from pagans.
Everything cool comes from pagans. Halloween in America comes from a lot of different places, but it's most similar to the Celtic tradition of Samhain, which is a celebration of the new year in Celtic traditions. So they celebrated the new year on November 1st, and the night before the new year was Samhain, which was a festival or holiday that commemorated the end of summer and the beginning of winter, a time to both celebrate the harvest and get ready for the long winter ahead. So the Celts believed that on this day, the day before the new year, the veil between the living and the dead was thin, so that ghosts could return to the earth because of this like blurred boundary. So it was a good time to get your fortune told, which was good because you never know how the winter was going to go. It was a fun time to blow off steam after a time harvesting everything, reaping the benefits of what you sowed, quite literally. And spirits were seen as like tricksters who would come in and they would damage crops and cause trouble. So this is why you had to have everything harvested and ready before this happened, or else the spirits are going to come and like fuck up all your crops. But also, they're going to die because it's cold. So during the Samhain festival, they would light a large bonfire. People would wear costumes or masks made out of animal skins. They would dance. They would revel in the bounty of the harvest. They would tell each other's fortunes. They would leave out food for the spirits and feast themselves. Interestingly, this may be where bats became associated with this kind of holiday, because this big bonfire, it would be lit at night, obviously, which would attract a lot of bugs, obviously, which would bring the bats. So it would not have been uncommon to see bats flying above the Samhain bonfire.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
That's great. Bats are so good.
I love bats. Bats are great. Some say that it was the tradition to dress up to confuse the spirits, or if you blended in with the spirits, you could avoid their trickery. The food left was like an offering to appease them, so that they would not do tricks.
Well, so they would come destroy the crops, but they wouldn't destroy the food?
Well, the food was like given to them as an offering. So like eat this instead of causing trouble. This is specifically for you.
They're like, here's a lasagna.
Here's a lasagna.
Give them some treats so that they don't play tricks.
And then later, when the Romans conquered most of the Celtic regions, the holiday of Samhain was kind of smashed together with Roman holidays around the same time of the year. So one of them is called Feralia, and then the other one is the celebration of the goddess Pomona. So Feralia, I think is how you say it, was a Roman celebration.
Was Audrey Hepburn there?
Probably not.
Because it was a Roman. As a
ghost.
Because it was a Roman holiday. A Roman holiday.
I got you. I see what you're doing.
As a future ghost. She came as a future ghost. Feralia was a Roman celebration at the end of October, which commemorated the passing of the dead. And the celebration of Pomona was usually done at the beginning of November, which marked the end of the apple harvest, among other things. She was the goddess of like fruit and trees and stuff. And this could explain why apples are centered in Halloween celebrations, because of this. One of the things that they would do at the celebration of Pomona was bob for apples, and it was kind of intertwined with Samhain. Also, apples are a pervasive and hardy autumnal fruit, so like it makes sense why they would be associated with this time of year, but that's a fun little connection that came through the Romans.
Have you ever bobbed for apples?
I think maybe I did when I was like in elementary school.
I definitely have at some point in the past. I can't specifically remember an incident, but I have, I'm sure.
I don't think I ever have. I'm searching my memory banks, and I don't think I've ever stuck my head in a bucket full of apples.
To be fair, your memory banks are notoriously unreliable.
True.
That's true.
Very true. Unless it's about hockey or this podcast, I'm out.
I don't have a big enough mouth to bob for apples. I feel like it's really difficult to get a.
Yeah,
get
I'm
my
really good
chompers
at it.
on
My
them.
mouth is huge.
Fucking, it's like
Zach
a donkey.
doesn't have-
Send him in
if
there.
you've never met Zach, he's got the biggest head I've ever seen.
You got a big noggin. dog.
My dude got mouth for days.
You know what they say about a big head, big jaw.
It's a handicap in a lot of ways.
Wearing
but, you know,
hats.
there
Yeah.
are some advantages, and one of them is that I
Can bob
Can
for
bob for
apples.
apples.
I could really fit an apple in that sucker.
Eat a lot of apples. Oh, so this is where like sweet apples, like toffee caramel apples, they had like something similar in Roman times, like sweet apple treats.
That's great. I do love a caramel apple. I
don't.
would always get them.
I don't
would always
either.
try and get
I
one
don't like
at
caramels,
the,
and I don't particularly like apples.
I don't like caramel either. It runs in the family.
It's
high
the
five.
only scenario in which I like caramel is in a caramel apple, and I would always get them at the Durham Fair. Connecticut heads know the Durham Fair.
Shout out to the Durham Fair, I guess.
There's some people in Connecticut right now
Who are
who are
like,
like,
"Whoa, I've been there." So after the Romans, then a little known entity called the Catholic Church came along.
boo.
As we know,
Yeah, boo.
Catholic Church hates pagans and non-Catholics, but
They hate everything, including themselves.
also
It's true.
they didn't want to alienate them too badly. And so they did like what the Ica would do, which is
Okay.
incorporate dates and holidays from the people that they took over and turn them into Catholic celebrations.
It's called
Making this
syncretism.
about Jesus.
Syncretism. And this
Syncretism.
is basically every holiday that we celebrate now, like was done, that was done for. But in Halloween's case, the church turned November 1st into All Saints Day, a day to commemorate the saints who died for our sins, and not the like commemoration of the dead just for the saints. Oh, that's what it is, even though people were like, you know, we're going to celebrate what we want to. But the night before All Saints Day became known as a couple of different things, one thing of which was All Hallows Eve, which is kind of like where Halloween, the name, came from.
That makes
tracks.
sense. I can see that etymology.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense. Like exactly when and how it occurred cannot be pinned down to one time because it happened over hundreds of years and it was influenced by people in place, you know, all over. But generally, this is regarded as the origins of Halloween.
Yes,
in
I like it.
It's all thanks to John Hallow.
Yeah, thanks, John. In America specifically, when America was first founded by colonists, it wasn't super big with the colonists because they were kind of like Protestant and puritanical, you know? It's not,
Boo.
Yeah, boo, Puritans, boo.
Boo. Harvest
Nobody likes you.
festivals were common, like
That's
end
why
of
they left.
yeah, right. End of autumn festivals. Some traditions, probably like end of year traditions, were likely incorporated too from like different indigenous groups in the areas. Apparently, Halloween autumnal tradition started really in like Maryland area, but Halloween in America really kicked off in the second half of the 19th century when America saw a large influx of Irish immigrants because of the potato famine, which, as we know, was not an actual famine. It was a manufactured famine by the English, who took all of the other food and then forced them to only eat potatoes, and then they died when the potatoes died. So,
Yeah, I think this has come up on the podcast before. I think that we are, I want it to be clear that we are anti-English colonialism, pro-Irish independence.
If Bo were here right now, Bo would be like, I love the English.
anytime the potato famine comes up, I feel like it's just, you just gotta say, you know, there was not an actual famine, because it's like, there was, but there wasn't. It was manufactured. Anyway, when a bunch of Irish immigrants were coming to America because of the potato famine, they brought with them Celtic traditions, including Samhain, which really helped to popularize Halloween in America.
Do you know why there was a potato famine? It wasn't the English. I actually, I know I got some insider information. It's because they didn't have a sacrifice for these ghosts, and the ghosts ate all the potatoes.
Oh my God, the ghosts ate the potatoes.
They didn't make a big bonfire and give them spaghetti, and so they took all. I don't think
they had spaghetti.
Oh, well, that's why if they had spaghetti, it wouldn't have happened.
Anyway, the original carved vegetable of choice was actually the turnip, because pumpkins weren't in Europe. I actually read a little interesting tidbit about the history of jack-o'-lanterns, and it's the legend of Stingy Jack.
That's such a great nickname.
Yeah, I know, it's a great story. You guys are gonna love this.
Any nickname that is just like thing name, like Shitty Jeff, it's the best.
Fuck you, Steve.
Like Stinky Greg, like those are the best ones. So
Stingy Jack, it most likely comes from an Irish legend, although it kind of is pervasive among Irish, English, and Scottish people. It first came out in like the 19th century about a man named Stingy Jack.
Stingy.
According to the story, he invited the devil to have a drink with him, and he didn't want to pay for it. So he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin that Jack would use to buy their drinks. But once the devil turned into a coin, Jack decided to keep the money for himself and put it into his pocket with a cross, which prevented the devil from changing back to his original form.
You little shit.
He's stingy. Eventually, he freed him under the condition that the devil would leave Jack alone for a year, and that should Jack die, the devil wouldn't claim his soul.
Just a year?
Just a year. And then the next year...
You could be like forever. No.
I know, right? Well, the next year, the devil came back. Jack tricked him again by luring him up into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. While the devil was in the tree, Jack carved the sign of a cross into the tree's trunk so that the devil couldn't come down, until the devil promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years.
Okay, so he had a long-term plan here.
He had a long-term plan. Eventually, Jack died. As it goes, God was like, you kind of suck though, so I'm not going to let you into heaven. Because that's fuck. You shouldn't be making deals with the devil.
Guess who you're going to go hang out with?
The devil was like, fuck you. I don't like you, Jack. I think you're a douchebag. I'm not going to claim your soul anyway. You can't come to hell. So now, Stingy Jack is stuck in this plane between heaven and hell. So he's forced to roam the earth as a dead spirit with only a burning coal to light his way. So he put the coal into a carved out turnip and roamed the earth ever since. And he became known as Jack of the Lantern, Jack-o'-lantern, Stingy Jack. That's kind of where it came from.
That's a fun story.
Right?
This is classic Jack behavior. We need to look into why these trickster characters in folklore are always named Jack. Because there's Jack the Nimble, there's Jack the Giant Killer, there's Stingy Jack. I'm sure there's many others.
There's Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box, that's true.
He's making tacos.
Jack in the Crack.
Jack off? No, that's just emotion. That's just emotion. That's not the guy. Yeah, and he's crazy.
And then as kind of time went on in Ireland and Scotland, people started to make their own versions of Jack's lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips and putting them in their outside or in their windows to frighten away Stingy Jack and ward off other evil spirits.
So was Stingy Jack, now that he's roaming the earth or whatever, is he coming to your house to steal all of your coins, or what's the deal? Why are they trying to push him out?
That's such a great question, and one that I'm not super sure about.
I'm going to make something up. He's coming to steal all of your spaghetti.
I think, he probably just wants to cause mischief, because he's a little ne'er-do-well.
He's just a little nasty guy.
Yeah, he's a little nasty man. In England, they carve beets, which is fun. They used to use large beets. Along with turnips, but then
how big would that beet have to be?
I know, that's huge.
I mean, you could get a beet the size of a turnip. I feel like they're pretty small, like in general. And then once people came to America and Halloween started to happen to America, they were like, "Yo, we got fucking pumpkins in America. These are far superior." And so pumpkin carving became a thing.
Absolutely, because I feel like a turnip they must have had these heirloom turnips must have been huge, because a turnip the size that it is now, that would be difficult to actually carve anything into.
Have you ever seen a turnip jack-o'-lantern?
No.
I'm sure I have.
But I'm not from Ireland. Random question.
Because they're small.
I actually learned this at trivia. We go to trivia every week. What country produces the most pumpkins?
Oh yeah, there's the jack-o'-turnip in Valheim.
That's not the answer.
Is it...
It's not one that you would... I got this wrong. We got this wrong.
Mexico.
Wrong.
Somewhere in Asia?
Correct.
I don't have anything more specific than that, though.
It is China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very surprising. Learned that at trivia. Shout out to trivia.
Wow, thanks, trivia. Super
Thanks,
interesting. So I thought that was really fun. Also, I really love carving pumpkins. I like seeing carved pumpkins. Super great.
What was your favorite pumpkin you ever made?
Ooh.
Those ones with the little tiny faces that we carved a couple years ago.
We got little tiny pumpkins and we put googly eyes on them, and then we carved out bits for the mouth and put in those plastic vampire teeth. It was super cute. We named them Roland and Spoopy Jim.
Again, great nickname. Something name, Spoopy Jim.
I love Spoopy Jim.
I think my favorite one, I got the biggest pumpkin I could find, and I made a Roman Colosseum with it.
Whoa.
And it was a 360 pumpkin.
How did that not cave in?
It was huge. It was a big old chonkers, and I used all the bits that I carved out of it for all the columns or whatever to make a little guy with a sword and a lion that he was fighting on the inside of it.
Whoa.
And I never carved a pumpkin after that because I was like, I can't get better.
Our dad used to carve cool pumpkins. He used to do like goblins and shit that were pretty cool.
Yeah, that was weird. Like he pulled that out of nowhere.
Yeah, like really randomly. He was not artistic or at all. Yeah. It was just like, check out this sick ass pumpkin. I was like, that's actually dope.
What the fuck is this? Like, where have you been hiding this the whole time? And then he's like, whatever. You go to your room.
Once I did a skeleton shrugging, and that was pretty fun. He's like, no, I'm in a pumpkin. It was great.
Hey, here it is.
Here, what is?
I'm looking at my Instagram. I found that.
Oh.
He just says that to himself.
Here it is. And then we talked a little bit about trick-or-treating. And so I learned a little bit about the origins of maybe where trick-or-treating came from.
Hit me.
So during Samhain, we know that they would like dress up, As time went on, they started dressing up as like, ghosts or malevolent creatures. And then they would perform antics in exchange for food and drink. So it was a custom known as mumming, which dates back to the Middle Ages. And it's thought to be kind of like early trick-or-treating. And so it was like people when it became All Hallows Eve, especially, poorer people would visit the houses of wealthier people and get little pastries or soul cakes in exchange for a promise to pray for the souls of their dead relatives. So like, if you give me a cake, I'll pray for your dead relatives.
Pretty good deal.
Kids would go around from door to door asking for gifts. Original gifts were things that were more like money, food, nuts, berries, even like ale.
I'm a child. Give me beer.
I'm a child. Give me ale. I mean, the drinking age, there wasn't one. So like, it was fine.
Yeah.
And then in Scotland and Ireland, there was a tradition that came about called guising, where you would dress up in costume, and then rather than pledging to pray for the dead, you would do a trick, sing a song, recite a poem, tell a joke, do a little performance in which you could collect your treat after.
Oh, so you had to earn it.
Yeah, so a trick or treat is more like do a trick and then I will give you a treat.
Trick, then treat.
Trick, then treat. Earn your treat with your trick. Precisely. So that's fun. Then when, in the Americas, there's like a whole like Guy Fawkes Day thing, which like is kind of related, but more readily it was just community building, like what started trick-or-treating really to get popular in America. It was a time for like, it was seen as a really good time for communities to come together. Kids can go crazy, and then it just kind of boomed. Especially it was in like the 30s. During the Great Depression, to keep kids from causing mischief and doing vandalism. They would organize these community events where you could like get, treats, go door to door.
Okay, they're like, if you stop fucking around, you'll get a piece of candy.
Like, hey, don't go vandalize things. Come over here and you'll get fancy little cakes and nuts and stuff.
And then you can go vandalize stuff tomorrow.
And then it kind of hit really hard once the Depression and World War II started, because there was like sugar rationing. Once that ended, candy became a lot more popular, especially at Halloween. And now it's like basically the only time people buy candy is for Halloween.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun.
I like it.
And now we can talk a little bit about costumes. Early Halloween costumes and decorations were super scary. They weren't meant to like be a particular person or character, just a way to conceal your identity with something spooky. So like witches, black cats, ghosts were the norm for costumes, especially in the early days. All costumes were originally handmade. You couldn't really buy costumes until like the 40s and 50s, maybe even later than that. The Victorians tried to chill out the like spookier aspects of Halloween, but it never really left, because for like all over the world, the end of summer, beginning of autumn, going into winter is spooky time. Like It's the time that the dead walk among us. It's the time for telling your, like, it's funny how pervasive it is. I mean, I guess it makes sense. And then in the 50s, or in the 20s and 30s, the spookiness really came back because you know how the 20s people loved their fucking spiritualism. So the whole like ghosts and, you know, doing seances and stuff came back. And then the 50s is when it kind of moved to a more commercialism mindset with more specific characters becoming popular and Halloween being a reflection of the media that was happening at the time.
What were costumes back then? Like, I can't even. Yeah, I was gonna say cowboys, like Howdy Doody. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like just general like clowns, witches.
Ugh. Clowns.
These are some of the things that I was looking up too. I found a photo of like a costume display in the 40s, I think, that has some cool stuff in it. Just like some creepy stuff. And then
if you want to be super creeped out, look at pictures of turn of the century Halloween costumes. They are fucking horrifying. Like they're
the masks I remember are fucking terrifying.
Yeah, they're so scary.
And one of my favorite things about the Halloween costumes from the next immediate era, like the 70s and 80s, that was kind of phased out by the time we were kids, was the like, if you were to get a branded costume, it was really common for it to be a really cheap mask, which like the really cheap vacuum formed mask, but also like a smock with like a picture of the character and like the character name on it, instead of actually like a smock, like a torso that went with the character.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the
Hello,
character.
my name
It was
is
just
Dave.
like, it's just like, I'm Luigi. It's like a picture of Luigi and it says Luigi.
That's an Ash costume. That's
Yeah,
Darth
I would
Vader
totally
mask.
wear that. A cheap Darth Vader mask, basically a trash bag with with arms cut into it, with Darth Vader printed on the front that says Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, I would absolutely wear that.
That's Darth Vader. That's definitely Darth Vader. It's what he
And
looked
some-
like in the movies.
and some
It's because the
gloves.
masks are so cheap and crappy that's the only way that anyone can figure out what you're supposed to be.
They're like, what are you? Look down. Oh, got it.
There's this kid who's the shark from Jaws.
That is
and
fantastic.
It's a smock with the Jaws poster on it.
That is great. And like really baggy white pants. And then just a fantastic shark mask. It looks great. I would wear that. 100% I would wear that costume. We should bring these back.
Yeah. I think that my costumes were a little bit better than that when I was a kid, but that's because my mom was an incredible sewer. And so we would go to Joann Fabrics a couple of weeks before Halloween and pick out a pattern from like all of the patterns. And then my mom would sew it up for us. So like one year I was like a shark. That was really cool. And then one year she made me a really good Luke Skywalker costume. And I was always going for like really hyper specific stuff that people would have to ask me what it was. And I loved it that way.
I think we should bring it back to I'm Jaws. And then you just wear a shark mask with a shirt that says Jaws.
Yeah, the shark costume that my mom made for me is honestly incredible. I found a picture of it. I've been going through pictures while you've been talking. I'm sorry.
Wow, thanks for not listening.
But I love these kind of things because my face is in the shark mouth. So it's like the shark is eating me.
That's pretty great. I like its little eyes. It's got really cute little eyes. Zach's shark costume as a kid. I found a couple of lists that are like most popular Halloween costumes the year you were born or Halloween costumes through the
sweet.
decades.
Hell yeah.
I found those too, and they always have different things for each year, and they never say what their sources are, and I'm 90% sure that it's all bullshit.
It's all made up, but we can go through
But
them
let's
anyway.
go for it anyway.
But so
Yeah.
is this podcast. Let's go for it.
Hey, we try to root our stuff in like academic literature most of the time.
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
your
Zach and I
episodes.
do. Zach and I do.
No comment.
So, did you want to go through them, Zach, or do you want me to?
If you have one up, I don't have one up right now. So
I have one
if you
up. So this one is from the Reader's Digest, and it says these are the most popular Halloween costumes by year. So, and it goes year by year. Which how do you even know that information? So let's just see what it says. Let's see. 50, Cowboy. 51, Tarzan.
Ooh,
52, Don Lockwood from Singin' in the Rain.
that's a good one.
I would
He's
wear
got
that
to carry
now.
around an umbrella
Just wear a suit with a hat and carrying around an umbrella.
and tap shoes.
Yeah.
Or just, pretend like you have tap shoes on. Oh, I did read in the 50s that Mickey and Minnie Mouse were really popular because after World War II, Disney became like a really big thing.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Like Snow White, Pinocchio, Dumbo, and Bambi. Those came out all in that time.
How terrifying were those fucking costumes? Can
like
you imagine?
Dumbo
Probably.
costumes, Bambi
Probably
costumes.
very scary.
Horrifying. Batman, 54. Davy Crockett, 55. 56 in this one was funny. It's Anna Lenowins from the Rodgers and Hammerstein, The King and I musical.
Isn't that just someone wearing a dress?
It's just a lady with a poofy dress. Yep.
Okay.
Frankenstein, Zorro, Marilyn Monroe. I did see in the late 50s, early 60s, a lot of like Hawaiian hula stuff became popular after the war, obviously, when like a lot of people were very interested in that. Excuse me, I burped, in that part of the world. Let's go down to the Beatles in the 60s, Sonny and Cher, Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra, just reflecting of the media that we are. Let's see what our
media really took over there.
Are you 87 or 88?
Wow.
88.
There you go.
Okay. Beetlejuice.
Relevant now.
Yeah, pretty good.
Time is a flat circle.
Fun costume. Zachary Marty McFly.
Classic. Love that guy.
Mine was Barney. Oh.
I believe I was Barney once when I was a child.
No. No, I found a picture of you.
Of me?
Yes.
As a child. Yeah, I have more on my computer too. They came from me.
Oh, okay. I thought Zach was just like compiling pictures.
No, I have some pictures of us.
He's making
from
a scrapbook.
Kids. You were the genie from Aladdin.
Oh, yes, I was. Look at that.
And once again, it looks like
crazy. What is Alex dressed up? Our sister's dressed up as something.
I believe it's
terrifying.
I believe it's just a cat. I think she's a cat.
And Ash is not dressed up at all. She's just wearing
I'm a toddler and wearing a twist and shout shirt.
Nice.
No, there's me as cowboy. Where do you get these pictures?
From me. I had them.
Why do you have these?
Because I went through our mom's photo album and I scanned a bunch of pictures a long time ago.
I do not have any of these. I didn't even know these existed.
I sent them to Ariel and she was like, oh my gosh, look how cute you were.
Wow.
Little cowboy. You look cute as a cowboy. Your ears were freaking gigantic when you were a kid.
Yeah, good thing I grew into those things. Holy
For real,
shit.
Ski. Another list I saw has, again, this one I think is the same, actually. Which one was this? Oh, Cosmopolitan. The Halloween costume everyone was wearing the year we were born. This one has a little bit of different ones.
Yeah, what are our years again? Oh yeah, what year is Bo born? What would Bo's have been if
I think Bo is 91,
he would deign to
right?
be here with us?
I think Bo is 91.
I think Bo's 91.
We're just going to say that now. He's not here to defend himself.
Let me scroll. Yeah. Let me get to the 80s because it starts in like the 40s.
Scroll down. Keep scrolling.
1988. Garfield.
Andrew does famously love lasagna, yeah.
Lasagna.
I hate Mondays.
I do hate Mondays. I hate today. Today's Monday.
Let's see. 1990, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Love it. Big fan.
91, Freddy Krueger.
I've heard that somebody won a costume contest dressed as Freddy Krueger.
And he just went to the store and bought it. 92, Catwoman. Pretty fun.
Which cat? Was that the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman?
Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman. From Batman Returns.
Yeah, Halle Berry wasn't around there yet.
With the skin-tight leather suit.
Has there been a Catwoman wearing a baggy costume? Aren't they all skin-tight?
Probably not. Probably
I don't know.
not.
I'd like to see that. When they revamp Batman for the 700th time, maybe they'll do that. Just have her wear,
also
pajamas.
popular in the 90s, Power Rangers.
What was Zoe Kravitz wearing in the last one?
The Power Rangers. I remember me and my sister Alex, we definitely did Power Rangers once.
I remember that. There was that year everybody was the Dark Knight Joker.
I remember that year. That was my freshman year of college. There were so many Dark Knight Jokers.
There was a lot. I remember my friend Jason dressed up as one Joker, and I dressed up as Batman, but it was like a shitty version. I just had a cape and a mask. Like I was just wearing regular street clothes other than that. And we were walking around town, and Jason was just walking down the street, like behind me, like 10 feet. And I would just run up to random passerbys and be like, "Where's the Joker?" And they'd like point around, like they'd like point behind me. I'd turn around, he'd like hide behind a bush, and I'd just be like, "Where's Rachel?" And I'd just run away.
Mm-hmm.
I climbed a light pole once. A cop told me to get down.
In retrospect, those movies didn't really have Batman do a lot of detective work.
No, he was just yelling a lot. He needed a drink of water. He had a very raspy voice.
Punching people and asking questions is not detective work.
I'm so thirsty.
Where is he?
Where's Rachel? I can't find any of my friends. I'm Batman. Christian Bale.
That's what I liked about that newer Batman one, the one with Robert Pattinson. He actually did detective work.
We're talking about Batman right now, and Bane is involved, and Bo is not here. He's probably stewing.
You know he's not going to listen to this because he's not in it.
Yeah, it's true. He's not in it. We can say whatever we want.
So while we're on the topic of most popular costumes, one of the things that I had found, and was there some...
Go for it.
Yeah.
I found a screenshot of the Party City website in the year October 2000.
In the year 2000.
And one of the things on it is they list the top 10 costumes, the top 10 costumes for Party City's customers in the year 2000.
In 2000, it has to be Y2K somehow amalgamated into a costume, right?
Well, no, this was after the Y2K, so nobody cared about it anymore. People were like, this didn't amount to anything.
Okay.
So we'll start with one. There's one costume in this list that is not a franchised costume. It's just a generic thing. What do you think it is?
What year did you say it was?
It is number 9. 2000.
Shit, I have no idea. I have literally no idea.
A witch.
I got nothing.
No, it's not a witch.
A zombie.
It's not a zombie. Give me one more thing. What was really big in the year 2000?
Oh, God. Tamagotchis.
PDAs.
Me not knowing what to do in school.
Okay, so this is the non-franchise. Okay, I'll just tell you. It was a hippie. That was the only non-franchised costume in the top 10. It was the hippie. And I remember around this time, hippies were big. My sister was going through a big saying peace out phase to everything, and tie-dye was back again.
Yeah, but you can't do that like on Halloween, though. Like, if that's your regular life, you can't just be a hippie.
Well, you fully dress up as a hippie.
I wore a hippie costume.
You take it up to 11, you know?
In probably 2000 and... Yeah, probably around 2000, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think I was in like 5th grade.
What do you think the number 1 was?
Oh, God. Number 1. 2000? Shrek? No, that was 2001.
I'll give you a hint. It would have been a team costume.
A team costume?
If you saw just one of them, you'd be like, it's weird that there's just one of you.
Power Rangers.
No, that was number 4.
Shit.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, that's not on the list.
Oh. What is it? I got nothing.
I should give up.
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls.
Ah, okay.
There's so many teams.
Yeah. Powerpuff Girls, Pokemon, Barbie, Power Rangers, Scream, Batman, Digimon, Blue's Clues, Hippie, and then Dragon Ball Z.
It's kind of interesting that Pokemon outdid Digimon. It's not interesting at all. I mean, that's just...
Pokemon always outdid Digimon. There was no point in time where Digimon
not surprising.
was bigger than Pokemon. Yeah. So I thought that was funny. And the Scream is also one that's very funny for me because, I mean, the ghost face mask is such a, I feel like, omnipresent thing. Did you ever have, or do you remember from trick-or-treating in the 90s, the late 90s, the Scream ghost face mask?
That had blood in it?
It was like sandwiched, and yeah, you had like the little heart pump, and you would pump it, and you'd hide it, and it would like make blood pour down the mask.
I knew many people who had that.
It's pretty cool. And this, was thinking about that, it kind of got me looking at the Scream mask origins, and they're actually really interesting. So you know what I'm talking about, right, Andrew?
Yeah, the movie.
The ghost face mask from the movie?
Yeah, it's all stretched out. The one that I see still every year or two this year.
Yeah, it's still the most popular.
I mean, they're still making Scream movies. I've actually only ever seen the first one, but it's a really good movie.
It's all you got to see. That's the first one. That's fine. All the other ones, it's about the same movie. You just got to see the first one.
Yeah. So I was looking this up, and because the main thing that you was curious about is this such an omnipresent Halloween mask. Did it exist before the movie? And the answer is yes. So it originated a sort of a Halloween party almost. What it was is that in around 1990, the employees of this like special effects company called Alterian were kind of found themselves in between projects, and so they all decided to make their own costumes and masks for a Halloween party. And a guy who's named, what's his name, Lauren Giddens. It's spelled Gittens. I don't know how to pronounce that. Gittens. That sounds the wrongest. But he basically they had this idea to take a fabric called buckram that you can shape it and dry it stiff and incorporate it with a bed sheet. And he made a bunch of these different ghost masks that were based on inspired by a previous design that he had made for another thing. And these kind of ended up getting really popular within the company, and he and a couple of other guys in the party decided to kind of turn it into a whole line, and they called it the Ghost Maker. And they made this like series of masks that were sold by themselves, And then it was made with a kit that you would attach to a sheet that you had, like an old sheet in your house, and make it into like a ghost costume. And it was really cool. There's like this whole series of them, and they had different names. And this was the Whaler mask in that kind of series. So they presented it at a trade show. From that point, it was not released after that. It's kind of questionable whether or not it actually was released into the public. Nobody knows. Like for the longest time, people thought that they were produced but never actually released to the public. But then a couple of years ago, somebody found like a shipped box of them, like in a warehouse somewhere. It's all very murky, kind of the way that a Halloween mask origins could be. But what happened a few years after that is that an employee of a company called Fun World was tasked by her boss to make a new line of Halloween masks. And she just sketched up a bunch of options that the boss then decided to turn into a line of masks. And a few of them were inspired by having seen the Alterian Ghost Factory, which is what they called the like make your own mask kit, at this trade show a few years back. And these were the ones that ended up getting produced. And they were sold under the line Fantastic Faces by Fun World. And these ones ended up being commercially released and getting pretty popular. Then finally, when they were going to scout locations for Scream, one of the movie's producers found the Whaler mask, which was called the Peanut-Eyed Ghost by Fantastic Faces, in one of the locations where they were scouting. And they were kind of at that point in production where they weren't sure what the mask for the killer was going to look like. And so they're like, we should use this mask. And so they contacted the maker, Fun World, and ended up licensing the mask from Fun World. Well, technically they licensed the mask from what's it called? Easter Unlimited, which is the parent company that owns Fun World. But either way, every Scream movie that comes out is licensing the mask design from Easter Unlimited, which is very interesting to me. And there's actually they don't hold the rights to that mask. And so like when you see the Ghostface character in like licensed in other materials, usually they're licensing that from Easter Unlimited, not from the movie company.
Cool. Yeah. I like that. Well, that's like the Jason mask is just a hockey mask. So it was like stolen from hockey lore because that was the first ever mask ever made by a goaltender when he got hit in the face a bunch. And one day he got hit in the face with a puck and he left and he came back with a mask that was the Jason mask, and he made it himself. And
Jason didn't find that mask until the third movie. Yeah,
it's crazy.
And so the interesting thing about this is that Fun World technically stole the design. So from Alterian, they didn't license the design from Alterian. The original designers are these people at Alterian. And so the original designer of it, Lauren Giddens, said that he like saw the Fun World version of the mask on a store shortly after it came out, but he had just left the company and was like trying to move on to a different phase of his life, and so he decided not to pursue it. And then when the movie came out, the other guy who was involved with it saw the movie and saw the mask and was like,
he's like,
what the fuck? What the fuck? But also
Alterian.
Yeah, but also Alterian as a company was pretty small. They've actually worked on a lot of great movies. If you look on their website, they did makeup for a lot of the Child's Play movies. They did makeup effects for like Army of Darkness and Darkman and Return of the Living Dead in the 80s, the Blob remake. But the thing about like special effects and makeup companies is that they get paid as little money as possible by the movie companies. So they don't exactly have a lot of money to pursue copyright legal stuff from these bigger like Halloween conglomerates, which is just a really weird phrase to say. And so they never ended up being able to take legal action against Easter Unlimited, Fun World, or anything like that. So technically, the Ghostface mask is based on intellectual property theft. So that's allegedly, I guess, because it's never gone to court. I have to say allegedly.
That's fun. But I like stealing things. So that's fun.
So justice for Lauren Githard.
Pay prop makers more to make your movies.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the only people to ever have said that.
Yeah. I like the names of the Ghostmaker. I feel like if I was like at that time, like looking for Halloween stuff, I would have really enjoyed the Ghostmaker kit because it like comes with like
Yeah.
a
Because you would
mask.
make your mom make it.
Well, yeah, I would also probably end up making my mom make it, but attach it to a sheet and then you color you paint the mask the way that you want to and stuff like
The
that.
names are Lovey Tate, Whaler, Screech, Boo Boo, Sarah Spook, and Ghost Dude.
Ghost Dude.
I love Ghost Dude.
I would be Boo Boo. I would be Boo Boo for sure.
And apparently, this is the original mask that they made for the party. This is really cool. Apparently, for Scream movie and mask collecting fans, like finding an original Whaler mask from the Ghostmaker series is like the goal, like the holy grail.
Yeah.
That's like Zach finding like an original Warhammer 40,000 something.
Or like the first
exactly.
pressing of a Beck album.
Yeah.
I think, I would love to get a first copy pressing of Midnight Vultures, but it sells for like $250. That's bullshit. But
Shouldn't have brought up records. That was my fault.
Yeah. You fucked
all
up.
that is, one Screech mask was preserved, one Lovey Tate has been found, a little Sarah Spook has been found. There was a promotional VHS that somebody found, and somebody ended up finding another, like a shipped box of them at one point as well. And so, yeah.
Well, if there's anything about this story that you've told me, I can just steal these and make them myself.
Yeah. Well, no,
I mean,
because
probably
now
not
Fun World will
anymore.
sue you.
Yeah, then they have a lot of money.
God damn it.
Yeah.
A little interesting Halloween lore.
I like it.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of how they do Halloween costumes in Japan?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Talk about it.
It's so fantastic. I believe what is it? Jimmy Halloween, which is mundane Halloween. So they do costumes that are incredibly specific scenarios. Like they don't dress up as like characters or like anything crazy. Instead, they go like the complete opposite of what we do, which is you are a person in everyday life in a very specific situation. So like some examples are person waiting at a counter for a waiter to notice them, and they like bring a little counter and like a little bowl of like ramen or like a menu, or a person who just spotted a cockroach before going to bed and search for an improvised weapon. And like it's like somebody in their pajamas and they have like a can of Rain.
It's improv. They do improv.
Guy who grabbed a shopping basket but only ended up buying a couple of things. So it's just a person with a shopping basket and like two little things in it. Shopper in line who regrets not using a shopping basket. Somebody just like holding a bunch of items.
There's a lot of shopping things.
I saw a really good one, which was a hiking equipment store mannequin. And like it's just like wearing hiking store clothes with like a thing over his face to look like a mannequin.
I've always wanted to do that, where like show up for trick-or-treating with a table and a door and just like
do reverse
knock on the
trick-or-treating.
door. Yeah, and be like sitting there and be like, I'm ready to order.
Or you get a door, and so you knock on the door, and then they open the door to a door in which they have to knock on.
Yeah.
Inception Halloween.
Goof the fuck out of them.
Another one I saw from the Jimmy Halloween is a person being interviewed on a news program whose face has been pixelated for privacy. And it reminded me of your former roommate, Zach, who did that once. His Halloween costume was just a very blown up, pixelated version of his face that he like put on a stick to use as a mask. And it was fucking horrifying,
terrifying.
and I loved it.
It was so good. That was the year I was a fat barbarian and I painted blue paint on my face and just carried around a hollow plastic.
I'm sorry. Did you say fat barbarian?
Well, yeah, because I'm fat, so any costume I did had to be the fat variant of whatever that was.
So in high school, were you a fat zombie?
I mean, I suppose so.
Was that the moniker?
You just hadn't branded yourself that way yet?
Yeah.
That's.
I think I have a picture of you, Andrew, as a maybe 14 or 15-year-old with a costume where you're a baby being held by an old lady, I think it was.
I do remember that. Yeah. It was a big blow-up thing
Like
that I had to
inflatable
wear.
Before inflatable costumes were really a thing, you were really a trendsetter with that one.
You know what? Someone had to.
You're welcome, the world.
Yeah.
I found the picture of Roland and Spoopy Jim on my Instagram. Do you want to guess what year that was?
Your pumpkins?
Yeah.
For those listening who can't see photos, he's sending pictures of pumpkins.
It's the small
I'm just saying
pumpkins that we
for
put the
reference.
googly eyes on, and we put the
Call back to 30 minutes
we
ago.
talked about it earlier. What year do you think that we did those, Ash?
2012.
Oh, you were asking me.
Yeah.
It had to be 2014 or 2015.
It was. Good job. You got it immediately. You have such a good memory.
I remember what year we moved to the city that took place in.
Yeah.
And so that was all that I had for Halloween. Did you have anything else for Halloween stuff, Zach?
That was everything that I had pretty much. Just some other random things that we don't need to talk about.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, awesome. Andrew, do you want to take us out?
Well, my favorite part was how Ash has a bevy of pictures of me dressed up in costumes for some reason. It was a little creepy.
They're not all in costumes. Only a few of them are.
Oh, that's even creepier.
It's not creepy to have pictures of your family members.
It's so creepy. I have none. I have zero.
That's because you don't give a shit about anything.
That's true. Zach, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part was the story about Stingy Jack.
Yeah, actually, that's my favorite part too. I love that.
Pretty fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stingy Jack, classic. I'm going to be him for Halloween next year. I'm not buying another costume because I already spent too much on this year.
We did have a friend who dressed up as like a pumpkin man. He just wore a suit and then put a pumpkin on his head, which was pretty great.
Boom.
And then Zach smashed it with a baseball bat at the end of the night when we were all really drunk. So that was a really good time.
I had his permission.
You have to. Was he still wearing it?
No.
No, we joked about it, but at the end of the
Rest
day,
in
luckily,
peace,
we were all like, please don't.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, let's smash it. Because that was also the year. Yeah, that was the year I had my. No, that was when I had the.
Oh, it was just a metal pipe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a metal pipe.
For Halloween or just in general?
For the Wastelander.
And like
it was
2016, Zach just carried around a metal pipe everywhere.
I liked learning the history of the Ghostface mask, and I really liked researching this. It was very fun. I like that I got to learn about Celtic, Roman, and Catholic traditions.
Yeah.
Yay. And how
Yay.
the Irish are the reason for jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah, and Halloween as we know it, basically.
I like the thinking about Romans bobbing for apples.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. And
That's
just
so weird.
the throw out here, Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, has basically nothing to do with why we celebrate Halloween now. It's just sort of kind of at the same time of year.
That's their own thing.
It's a different thing.
It's a completely different thing.
Let them have it.
Although apparently if you do want to set up ofrendas, you can.
Okay.
What is that?
Ofrendas are altars where you put pictures and like food and stuff for loved ones who have passed. And then on the Day of the Dead,
Like
you light the candles, you put out a lasagna, and then they can visit you. And I didn't know that there's a separate day for pets. I think it's the 27th. You can do a pet ofrenda for any of your pets that have passed, which is very nice.
That's nice.
That makes me more sad than people dying.
I know, right?
I don't want to think about that. Hey, anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of Get Dumped On.
All right.
The Info Dump Podcast. I hope your Halloween is ooky. I hope your Halloween is spooky. And I hope that you have all of the lasagna that your heart can eat. No, wait, that's if you're a ghost. I hope you give all the ghosts all of your lasagna. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In the meantime,
ghosts need lasagna.
It's good to be back. Ghost lasagna. It's good to be back. I'm sad that Bo missed this episode, but you know what? We didn't have any load talk, so
I'm fine
there
with
wasn't
that.
going to be any, and then you had to bring it up.
Oh God. All right.
Andrew
Well,
is
thanks
the
for
new
listening
Bo.
to Get Loaded On. I hope you have a good Halloween. We'll talk to you guys next week. Until then,
Love you.
Hump Day Dump Day. See you later. Bye. Come follow us on Instagram. Tell us your favorite Halloween costumes that you did. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Where's Rachel? Ash and Zach are super smart. They went to college and did a bunch of stuff. Bo and Andrew didn't go to college because that's the way death goes sometimes. What happens when you put them together and you try to make them learn? Well, grab your ghouls. Let's listen together on Get Spooked On, a creepy dump podcast.
Yeah, it's the Spooky Dump podcast.
Spooky Dump.
Creepy dump podcast.
Take us out, Shitty Ricky.
Shit, you mean Horn Honk Ricky?
His name is Shitty Ricky now.
Oh, okay.